I feel as though in my relationship with my ex-boyfriend, I became very dependent on him. We quite literally spent 24/7 together because not only do I work for him, but we created a life together. We were always together. I felt as though I was not whole. So when going into the relationship with him, it made me feel kind of whole. And unfortunately, I just was not very good with communication, and it was talked about not every other day. It was talked about quite often, to the point where he basically was like, look, I can't do this anymore. Communication is not the best for you. I basically would just get very frustrated and aggravated with like almost everything he would say. Quite often I would just get aggravated. And instead of communicating through it, I would completely shut down, give myself space and not communicate for it. It just got to the point where he was like, I just don't think this is going to work, basically. And yeah, now I work for him, so we see each other all the time. We actually, weirdly enough, it was a healthy relationship besides that.
Yeah.
No, nothing traumatic, nothing toxic.
What's been the norm for you since then? Like, what are the emotions, the thoughts, fears, hurt, sadness, what kicks in?
Feeling very alone. I feel as though like I'm just, like I said, he's on this forefront of my mind where it's 24/7, constantly thinking about him. And I want to be able to, it's been about 2 months now. I want to be able to be okay with everything, be grateful for the relationship, and know that I can get past it.
How long were you together?
We were only together for 3 months. That's how intense the relationship was, yeah.
What was your longest relationship in your life?
That.
3 months?
Yep.
Okay. How old are you?
22.
22. Have you been in other relationships?
No.
So that was your first serious one. When you do break up, it can be very healthy and beneficial to create physical space between the two of you. Meaning, no calls, no texts, no contact. Now, I do understand with your situation, there's the job involved, so it doesn't mean you have to do that. If it does get too intense, do still know, though, that it is still an option. Remember, for everyone, too, your own well-being comes first, but creating space is key, because otherwise what will happen occasionally is you'll see texts back and forth, and both parties kind of keep each other attached in a certain way. You might even see people do this, not the healthiest people emotionally, where they'll drag on past exes throughout the years. I remember dating someone like that who would text their exes just for fun, just to keep them hooked, to get a little bit of validation years later. So it never truly severs and reinforces the fact that it's over and creates that space to heal and move on if there is still some contact. So it can be helpful. Again, you could just tell a person, hey, I need to cut contact for a little bit. It's all about me healing, etc. And then take some time apart. What I always say after a relationship is learn and discover, let's just say, learn to date you again and discover who the new you is. So even in a short relationship like that, there's you prior to it and there's you now. And you now, you're very different than before, right? You've gone through different experiences, you've grown. Again, that relationship changed you in a way. Now, yes, you're gone and there's a period of hurt, and that's normal and that's healthy. Don't stuff that down either. Don't be like, oh, I'm over it, I don't feel anything. No, honor it, right? Again, if you didn't experience hurt after a breakup, you weren't truly vulnerable. It wasn't really a relationship. It shouldn't trigger you to the point where it just runs your life, but there is a grieving phase. Don't try to skip ahead, and don't, other key one, rush into a next relationship immediately. Do not do that. You need that time to rediscover who you are and learn how to date the new you, okay? Now, that's more surface. With you, though, what I would ask, and this can be a pattern, I would, for every single person, audit it. When there is drama or frictions, or like you said, things that kind of upset you, what is your go-to reaction? And it tends to be two. One, which is you, which you shut down. That's actually my default go-to as well. It's like you just kind of shut down. You might be like, and just like kind of walk away, own space. You don't. It's like you just kind of shut down. You're like, well, screw this, shut down. The other person explodes, meaning when things don't go well, it's like, they start going nuts. What is your go-to? Do you explode or do you shut down? And be very aware of it. The next level beneath that is learning how to, and this is one of the most important skills in relationships, learning how to have healthy arguments and disagreements. This goes against the mainstream, which is everyone should be happy. Hey, you found your soulmate, you should never, ever disagree. No, everyone's unique. All of us here, we disagree on some things. We're not all gonna get along on the exact same things. We're all equal, but we're all different. There are gonna be disagreements, there is gonna be friction, especially the longer the relationship goes, the higher the stakes, the more the investment, the more there's gonna be friction. You can't avoid the friction, but you can choose and decide early on how you are going to handle it, how you're going to have disagreements. I saw this clip, this is years ago. It was Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard, right? So 2 actors, and they're married, they have kids. And I believe they were talking about, and I'm 99% sure it's them, they were talking about how in an argument when they first started dating, the way she would kind of handle it is she would also shut down, but she'd always just leave the room, leave the room, leave the room. And he called it out early on saying, hey, if whenever we fight you just leave the room, we're not gonna work here. Like, we gotta set some firm boundaries where yes, we can be mad and disagree, but there is no leaving the room till we figure it out. And that saved their whole relationship. But it is important to figure out how you're gonna talk, how you're going to have those disagreements. The #1 book that helps with this, which top of your reading list, is Crucial Conversations. Buy that book, read it for all of you, Crucial Conversations. It'll give you a lot of external tools and guidelines in terms of how to have those crucial conversations. Like, say something upsets you. We're not really taught this. We're always taught arguments and disagreements are bad. Also, the majority that we see is when people are triggered and it's toxic. So we rarely see healthy ones. But for you, it's okay. How am I gonna explain my frustration or explain, say, a boundary's been crossed or something I'm not okay with in a healthy way that will get my point across and that ideally will not trigger any of us? Because as soon as you're triggered, the argument's screwed. That's when you cease to be solution-oriented. And that'll be on the practical sense, and then in the emotional sense, it'll be releasing the fear around expressing that, right? So there's many ways this will manifest. Someone might walk and be silent, and then it's always in a way placing the responsibility on someone else unconsciously. So say you did something and say I was really upset, and I'm scared to express, hey, I don't like that you did that, or hey, I don't like that you're doing this. I might shut down, if that's the default, and then walk away and then just kind of be distant and closed off until you come up and say, hey, what's wrong? Or hey, I'm sorry, or hey, can you tell me? So it's placing it on you to kind of figure out what I'm not happy with. People who are passive aggressive do this big time. They're too scared to express that, so they're passive aggressive, hoping that the other person will figure out why they're upset. That's not healthy. So you have to know how to have those, again, open conversations. So it'll be letting go of the fear. We'll talk a little bit more about that and where that fear came from, and then expressing it and being okay with having those disagreements. And the best time to have those arguments is when you don't feel like it. Meaning if you're, say, really triggered and stuff, that's usually not the best time. But when you kind of both calm down and now you're on good terms again, you want to actually say, hey, by the way, remember before when we were talking about this? Can we talk about it now? And ruin the good times. Because that's when you're going to be the least triggered.
I never grew up in a household with love. So I never knew love because I never had it. I knew it, they loved me. I just never saw a partnership, compatible partnership that loved each other. So I don't know if it's because I've never experienced that myself, but I feel as though, and to preface why the 3-month became so intense was because he does have a truly good family, not perfect family, but very good. And I always went on the trips with him, Thanksgiving with him, Christmas with him, his sister-in-law's trip. I always went on all of their trips with their family because they were a loving family, and I never experienced that.
You do bring up a good point for everyone. When you're young, again, you're figuring this thing out called life in the world, right? You're born and you're looking around, you're like, what's this, what's that, what's that? And we form all these original assumptions or original core beliefs. And you might look at whoever's raising you, right, your parents or whoever's, again, raising you, and the relationship they have, and that will become your definition of love. So say 2 parents fight a lot, you might be like, oh, love equals fighting. You don't know any better, you're a kid. Oh, I guess that's love. And then that becomes a core belief, and then you build new assumptions on top of that. If your parents are divorced, you might say, oh, love equals separation or abandonment. If it's high drama, it's, oh, love's high drama, et cetera, et cetera. then you might find yourself in your adult life possibly attracted into similar situations where, say, it's love equals a lot of fighting, you'll always go for these kind of dramatic, toxic relationships where there is a lot of chaos and fighting. If it's so they're separated, abandonment, you might go for relationships that are long distance or with partners who cheat on you, so on and so forth. There is that pull towards the known in a way. And you might even see partners or situations where you know this is a healthier option, but you will actually not even experience attraction for that because it's not aligned with that original definition and assumption. Or even in a relationship where things are actually going well, say it's love equals drama. The relationship's going well, you're like, this is boring. I need the drama. This is boring. So you don't even resonate with it. So that is something to really dive into, process, and let go of. But it can also link to self-sabotage where, say your definition's like, okay, distant, not liking each other, and then you're suddenly kind of like a rom-com movie. You're kind of put in this situation where you meet this guy, family's totally a 180 than what you're used to. You're like, oh, this is amazing. This is kind of everything I've always wanted. Whoa. But then in the back of your mind, you're like, this, like, I don't belong here. Someone else that has this kind of upbringing and family is who he's meant to be with. I am not worthy. If any of you have seen like Wayne's World, it's like, not worthy, not worthy. It's too good to be true. And sometimes if that does kick in, little self-sabotaging trends will start seeping to the surface to push it away. Something we all do with even any kind of success that's above our ceiling. It's like, this is more than I deserve. We do self-sabotage. What I would link it though here is, why don't you deserve that? What comes up? Why is that not for you?
Tough question. The first thing that comes to my mind is, I guess because I've never had it, I don't, not only.
What do you deserve?
The most. I feel like I need to say that, but.
The real answer.
Yeah, I not everything. I feel like I don't deserve everything.
Say you were to zoom out and see yourself in a movie, right? So you're watching your life, and we fast forward, say, 5-10 years. What is a life situation that would make sense when you see yourself in terms of, say, relationships or lifestyle or whatnot? What makes sense? Where you're like, oh, that totally is aligned with who I think I am.
I feel like I want to say like a family and kids in 5 to 10 years. But as far as what I've been feeling,
yeah.
Kind of like nothing really, like just my friends always made a joke, like I'm always going to be that drunk aunt, single aunt at the weddings and the parties and all that stuff. That's kind of like, I was like, oh, you know what, maybe that will be me.
Great awareness. So, key for everyone here, you can also write this down, don't give the right answer, give the real answer. It also ties back to what we're talking about with shadow questions. So it's like, what do you think you deserve? Everyone's always like you said, like the most, the best, I want this. And that's the right answer. But you got to tune into like, but deep down inside, like, what makes sense, right? You can all ask yourselves this too, even in terms of a partner. It's like, what type of partner makes sense for you? At what point, if you were to say, see you walking down the street with your partner, you were to see that and you're like, how did she get this? That doesn't make sense. What's the limit of what you believe unconsciously deep down inside you do deserve? It also ties into, we talked about core beliefs around relationships, but also your core identity. So like you said, maybe your friends kind of joke about it, but if it does resonate deeply, there might be a bit of that identity that, you know what, I'm a bit incompatible. I'm just not made for, you know, what I experience there, what I see in the movies with those, again, lovey, happy, dappy families. That's just not me. I'm more of this. If that is, again, a core belief, consciously you can do whatever you want. Like, I do deserve it. Affirmations. Not until you process this and let go of it, so there's no longer that pull or magnet effect in a way. Okay, but what I would ask you is, when did you start feeling that way? Say we take that kind of identity of, like you said, the loner, doesn't deserve all that. When did that come up?
Right after the breakup, I guess.
Did it ever come up during your childhood? Did you feel a bit on the outside, a little different?
Yes.
So when did it originally come up?
Okay. I guess when I remember vividly the first real fight my parents had, where I was like, oh, is this just normal? Why can't I see them happy? Why this isn't? I was so confused why all of my friends have a happy family and they go on trips and everything's good and glorified, and I see my parents, yelling at each other, hitting each other, and all that stuff, very toxic. And I always had to be like the big sister to my brother and tell him that it was okay and that just don't listen. And
Yeah.
I feel like the first time I ever saw that, I was just very confused on what like my life would be when I'm older.
What have you always hoped someone would tell you in life?
You will be okay.
Do you believe you won't?
Yeah, sometimes.
Why?
I think that
Keep breathing into it.
being in a relationship that showed me good qualities of a partner, and I feel like I've almost ruined it, that I won't ever get it again. And that it's super, super hard to know that I could, but I don't know. I don't know. I just truly feel like I wasn't okay before the relationship. Now that it's over, and I just think that it's almost never gonna happen to me again.
What if that's true?
Then I feel as though I won't be okay.
Why? You got you.
And that's what I am scared about. I feel like I'm not okay with myself.
Back to the why. We're going deeper. It's good. Keep going. Why?
Because, I don't feel like I had it all as a kid, I guess. I don't feel like I've ever had
Okay, well,
it all.
let's go back to that. So there's a lot of bringing back to the kid. Say, little role play, I'm you, younger you, who didn't get that love as a kid. You're grown up, you see me. What would you tell me?
That
Like, tell me, I'm you.
where I'm at in life right now,
I'm younger you. Hi.
I still feel very alone. I don't have family here, and now that I got out of a relationship, I have friends, but
You're making it about current you. I'm here, younger you, hurt, feeling alone, no examples of love. And I'm looking up to you for help.
I still feel like it.
Tell me, what do you tell me? Help, help.
I feel like it hasn't changed that much.
Can you try to help me? What's your name?
Sam.
Sam. Sam, help.
How do I do that?
You tell me. I don't know. I'm younger you. Help me. Help.
I feel like I got nothing.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Do you love me?
Sometimes.
Why don't you?
I feel like I screw up a lot.
Are you ashamed of me?
Sometimes.
Interesting. So this here, again, little role play thing, but it does kind of personalize this whole idea of inner child or inner aspects of yourself. Again, there's no way of messing this up. It just brings up valuable data. So you did not mess up. Actually, trying to fake it would be messing it up. Yeah. But in a lot of cases, you'll see a lot of, it's okay, you got this, I love you, I forgive you, blah, blah, blah. For you, though, got nothing. Somewhat of a disconnect between you and that inner child. Almost a kind of barrier of apathy between you and that inner child, which would also link to that feeling of not truly feeling at home within. I would practice, and I know it sounds cheesy, communicating to it. Like super fucking cheesy, but like even having a picture of younger you, like just somewhere up in your surroundings, and every now and then just looking at you, seeing what comes up emotionally, which you can then process, or even just talking to you like, you got this, I'm proud of you, look at this. Like anything like that to just try to reform that bond, I think will help a lot. Because that too, again, resistance is what will block answers from coming up, say with the trail of whys. But even in terms of, okay, what's holding you back? The I don't know. If you're not truly connected, no data is going to come. So you're going to have to, step one, reconnect, let all the emotions that flow through come from that, which you can then work on. They might not be pleasant, but you can then work on them. But there's going to have to be this reconnection and this re-welcoming and embracing around that younger you. And if there is any, again, looking down on that younger you, not being proud of that younger you, being disappointed in that younger you, being ashamed of that younger you, that is something you do want to let go of and process. Because that's you. And it's sinking into even, can I forgive? Can you forgive that younger you? For not knowing any better, doing any better? The mistakes?
I feel like I could. I feel like I have to do those exercises. I feel like I could.
The talk to, and this is why it's a good even mirroring exercise, is that the whole help me, I'm the younger you, does also reflect the self-talk inside. I got nothing. Maybe you to yourself right now, you're like, look, I'm hurt, help. And to yourself, the self-talk is, I got nothing. Sorry, Sam. You're hurt. Yep, sorry, got nothing. Versus, you know what, Sam, you got this. It's gonna be okay, Sam. I love you, Sam. You're awesome, Sam. That type of self-talk there. Okay, now, one more perspective externally. You'll have to get some reference to truly believe this. But every, let's just say, first breakup feels like you'll never meet anyone like that ever again. Ever. And then you meet someone new. And then you might break up with that new person and you'll feel the same thing. But now because you have two references, like you have a reference of it happening, you actually met someone better, it's a lot easier to believe that you'll meet a third person that's better, so on and so forth. So because it's the first, it does and it can feel like everything's over. You'll never meet someone like that. But truth is, you will. And you will meet someone even better that is more compatible than that. Also, and this is just simply going through adversity, some mindsets is, with anything that ever happens to you, you can either get better or you can get bitter. Anything at all. Life's never going to go our way 100% of the time. That's a life crisis. Things don't go your way. I want to be in that relationship. Nope. That's life. Nope. Sorry, Sam. Nope. Get better, get bitter. You will go through a lot more. The mindset that really helped me is, how do I know that this isn't in my best interest? How do I know that my plan is the best plan? Currently, your plan, which you think is the best, is, I wish that relationship worked out. That would have been the best for me. How do you know? What if there's actually a better plan? How often have you heard stories, even with breakups, where people are like, I broke up, oh my God, and then a couple years later, they're in a better relationship, and they look back and they are thankful for the breakup because they got in that better relationship. Anyone know at least a story like that? Yeah. So technically, breaking up, even though it feels like things aren't going your way and you're failing, it's actually you succeeding in the long run. The same with losing your job. I got fired. Oh no, I'm losing. Yet, by getting fired, you'll hear a ton of stories like this too. People find a better job, and they're thankful that they got fired to find that better job. So technically getting fired is them succeeding. Maybe not getting fired, you'd think it's succeeding, but it's actually failing in the long run because you miss out on that. Maybe there's actually a better opportunity out there, but if you stayed in, you'd miss out on it. And that's ultimately in your control. It's moving forward, how are you going to live your life so that you look back, maybe not now, because again, it's fresh and you have to feel what you're feeling, but in the long run, how are you going to look back so that you're happy that that happened and thankful that it happened? And also reflect on how little we know and how quote unquote dumb we are. We know so little, yet we assume that our plan's the best. How do you know? Right? Maybe, and this is also adversity, maybe this is life's helping hand guiding you in the right direction. Right? Think of you as a child. Maybe you're eating dinner and you were like eating, a bunch of chicken nuggets and ice cream, and your parents came to you and they're like, Sam, you got to eat some vegetables too. Are you going to be happy about that? They take away the ice cream and nuggets, or here, vegetables, here's some broccoli. What does a kid do? Wah! And hits the table. No! My plan was chicken nuggets and ice cream. Why is my parent giving me broccoli? Life crisis, adversity. Yet in the long run, you're like, oh, thanks for making me eat my vegetables. Maybe this is life making you eat your vegetables. You had this relationship, and that's the chicken nuggets and ice cream. And life's like, nope, Sam, eat your broccoli. No! And then in the long run, you're like, oh, thank you, life. We've also all heard the saying, blessings come in disguise. Hey, you want to receive the blessing, you got to let it come to you in disguise as something that doesn't even seem like a blessing. It can also serve, even into whole better bitter, as a wake-up call to all this. Like this here, the end of this might also be the thing that leads you and creates the willingness to actually start processing and doing a lot of this inner work. For all of you here, even in this whole self-help world, it's usually an event like this, not necessarily a breakup, but some form of adversity that led you to actually start working on yourself. Some event where you're like, you know what, enough is a fucking enough. Like it's that pain, that misery that tends to be the first teacher, that even creates the openness. Why else would you even work on yourself? There's always like that tilting moment. You're like, okay, enough. Now, pain usually is the first teacher. Don't let it be the last teacher. Graduate beyond that. But it is the first. So maybe this is that one thing that's like, you know what? Maybe if everything went peachy, I would have never dove deep and confronted all this. This is the one that shows me like, nope, if I want to move forward, I really got to start diving in. Maybe in the long run, you could actually be thankful that it ended only after 3 months versus dragging on and then ending. So you actually got the lesson sooner and then it frees you up. And then also realize you're young. You have a lot of time. You have a lot of time. You're going to meet a lot of people. So it doesn't mean now look down on it or whatnot. Just be like, here was the experience. What can I learn from this? Get better, not bitter. What are the hidden lessons? Where's the hidden gold? Let's use this as an opportunity and motivator to work on myself, do the work. And then just final thing with the inner child there, audit the self-talk inside. And remember that nothing out there will ever make you feel whole. That relationship would never make you feel whole. You gotta, the only thing that'll make you feel whole is you inside. How you treat yourself, how you relate to yourself, how you feel about yourself. And it'll actually feel even worse if you get everything like we talked about you want and you still feel empty inside. That'll ruin you like it crazy, okay? So do keep that, and then just final thing, feel. Go through the grieving phase, feel, but do have that faith that, hey, you will meet someone out there and you'll look back and you will be thankful. I can guarantee you that. And when you do, you can have my little voice pop in your head saying, I told you so. I told you so. And you can be like, damn, he was right. Okay? So have faith. Also, I would reflect on what you learn from it too in terms of like compatibility with partners, qualities, traits, so on and so forth. And then also linking just a final thing to how you talk to others. Never go the people pleaser route with friends or relationships. It's always put the true you out there and screen. Screen through all the people and find those you're meant to be with. Meaning don't try to impress. Don't try to say, oh, I like this, when you don't. The more you put the real you out there, will you get rejected? Yes. And you want to. You want to be rejected by anyone who's not into that. So you could even think of your ideal life in a relationship. Right? I used this example on a call recently. Say hypothetically you're super into anime, right? And part of your ideal life in a relationship is watching anime and talking about anime, hypothetically. What does that mean for you in terms of finding a partner? Whenever you're meeting people, you better be bringing up anime. Now, is it going to scare some people off? Be like, yeah. But then you determine fast that that's not someone you're meant to be with, because if you were to date, they wouldn't be into anime. So you want to screen fast. The best way to screen is by being you. It'll attract those who you're meant to be with, and it'll quickly repel those you aren't meant to be with. Going the people pleaser route, you'll spend too much time dating people you're not meant to be with. So it's that authenticity first. And final note, we always tend to think that, and this is something the mind will convince us, that we are a little different, right? We're cut from a different cloth. Even in terms of loneliness, you could be surrounded by friends or people, even in a relationship, but it kind of feels like there's this kind of glass wall between you and others, like you're kind of operating on a different frequency. And you look at others like, how can they have it so easy? Or look at him and his family, why me? Et cetera, et cetera. But the behind the scenes of the majority of people, if not all people, is that everyone is dealing with that. And everyone has issues, downsides, feels broken inside, so on and so forth, no matter how good it looks at the surface. And that is something I mentioned before, really hit me when I started coaching, because I got to see the realness of people. Because do keep this in, like the people you talk to and meet, except for say maybe some family members or really close friends, but everyone else, everyone else, they're all putting on fronts. You look around this room here and you're just like looking at everyone's still putting on a front here. Everyone. You never actually see the real behind the scenes of what's going on. And when I started coaching and talking to people and seeing the behind the scenes, it was baffling. I'm like, what the fuck? It was crazy. And it really reinforces that classic saying, what is most personal is most universal. The mind will tell you it's just you, but the things you think are just you is actually what most people have. But we're all just good at hiding it. What you said here, I've heard it many times before. Not by you, but by other people. So it's not just you. And just in that, knowing that you're not alone going through something, taking in the larger sense of unity, is extremely empowering. So what do I mean by that? I'll link it to a quick story example. Say you had to do, you said you were doing like training and stuff, right? Like say you had to do this training course that was like very physically taxing and like painful for an hour. And say it was just you doing it. It'd be some kind of painful experience. But say you knew that at the same time, 100 other people were doing the exact same course as you. Knowing that they were, even in other countries or whatnot, going through that exact same experience as you at the exact same time, that larger sense of unity is extremely empowering and motivating. So do remember, although yes, you might feel at times shut off, disconnected, many people feel the exact same way. So in a way, in that feeling of disconnect, there is unity and connection. Okay? Give her a hand, everyone.
Thank you.
Hey, amazing.
Thank you so much.